Welcome to the Catalyst Life Coaching Podcast with John Kim and Noelle Cordeaux. If you're inspired to begin your own life coaching practice or just want to learn a little bit more about what it's all about, visit JRNI.co. That's JRNI.co for more information.
Hey guys, on this episode, we are going to talk about taking action when you feel stuck. And this is such a common theme with, I think, all coaches, including myself. Noelle, where should we start with this topic, taking action when you feel stuck?
Yeah, so this is, you said it, this is such an important topic for coaches, and it's important for folks who are interested in becoming a coach, because the process of becoming a coach is so mired with introspection and sense of yourself and am I doing it right? And there's so many things that go into it that people just literally do get stuck sometimes. And then this is also the bread and butter of coaching. This is why people come to coaches, is because they're stuck in life and they want something different.
Ooh, I love that you just said that, because if you're a coach and you feel stuck, hopefully that can be a little bit of a push or a turbo to get you going, because you're going to help other people who are where you're at.
Oh, yeah. And, just a reminder, if you're a coach listening to this saying, oh my God, I'm stuck, I can't help other people, that's not true. You do not have to have your shit together in order to be good at your job.
No, you don't. But just a little encouraging push for you to lean forward into not being stuck, because then you could take that lesson and use it to help other people.
Absolutely. So let's talk about how we get there.
So, what do most people why do you think they get stuck
It's fear.
when it comes to coaching? Yeah, fear.
Fear. I mean, it could be anything. It could be fear of dating. It could be fear of asking for a promotion. It could be fear of going to a new gym and doing a box jump. It's everything. The world is a big, scary vat of, am I good enough?
I think specifically with coaching, I've learned that a lot of it is am I qualified? Imposter syndrome. Can I do this? Am I in the right place to help someone else? Like, all of those things are keeping people from actually executing in building a practice, and then they're just stuck. And then, if they're stuck too long, you just end up just putting aside and not doing anything.
Oh, yeah. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. So even if you take those breaks, even if you put coaching aside for a little bit, the water's warm, you can always come back. I take an anti-shame approach to fear and change. And where you're at, you're at. Don't beat yourself up. You're there. You can't go backwards. You can't fast forward into the future. So you just have to kind of deal with where you are now.
So let's talk about what you do to slowly get unstuck.
Yes. So no matter who I'm talking to, whether it is one of our beautiful nugget coaches or one of my clients, I always start with a future vision. Where do you want to be? What will life look like if everything has gone as well as it possibly could?
And what if they're unsure about that future vision? So what if they kind of have an idea? Does it have to be very specific, or is it more so you could put them or help them go move into a direction?
Everybody has an imagination. Everybody's capable of daydreaming. If somebody hasn't really sat down and intricately thought about a future vision, let's try. Let's start now. So John, what do you want your life to look like 5 years from now?
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
You know what? You know what? It's interesting because I have a very specific future vision. I'm almost embarrassed to say, but I don't want to be embarrassed, so I'll tell you. It's a vision I've had, for most of my life, just growing up in Los Angeles. I know exactly where I want to live and how I want to live my life. 5 years from now, I see myself living in the hills of LA, and I see like a modest Spanish style house that's very charming. I see a Korean barbecue in the backyard. I see me having friends over all the time. I see a couple motorcycles. I see a vintage truck where I take my daughter out on Sundays for pancakes. And then I see little movie posters of the books that I've written, and my goal is to write 6 before I die. I see myself still helping people in different ways. So whether that is, and what I mean by that is content. So whether it's television, social media, whatever. But that's kind of like the meat and potatoes. And I'm just kind of nomadic, drifting and talking and helping people in that way. And of course, I'll have a couple clients. And then I see myself also just continuing this like exploration of using technology or helping people in ways that are unconventionals and really, being a mad scientist in that world. And then, of course, I see the growth of JRNI and I see thousands of coaches being our army. And I see the evolution of JRNI where we actually have classes that you could take in person.
Awesome.
So like a school that's in LA or San Francisco or New York or whatever, and then multiple instructors, and then I see those places where you could hang out and there's books that you could check out and like have coffee and kind of an oasis.
Yeah. So, how do you feel right now? How did it feel to just spill that?
Excited. I got blood running through my. I need to go work to make this shit
I
happen.
know, right? It
Right.
feels good to dream. It feels good to dream. And, it's important to be in touch with your own compass. It's important to be in touch with, as you said, the deeply held things that you might feel a little bit scared to tell somebody else, but they're what you hold deeply inside. And it's what you really, really, really want in life.
Well, depending where you're at, I mean, yeah, of course, everyone can dream, but for some people, if they don't believe it could happen after the dream, they feel that discouragement of like, oh, I'm never gonna get there, or I really want that, but how's that gonna happen to me, or it's so far in the distance, all of that stuff.
Time passes and time passes quickly. And, you know, 5 years from now is going to come real fast. So,
Well, 5 years, yeah, is that so much can happen in 5 years in today's time?
oh, yeah. So, whenever folks are at that point of pain, fear, discouragement, I say, well, your options are to do nothing, which will guarantee that your life will stay exactly the same, or you can try. You can take one small action step each day towards your goals, and you can try.
And for me, and it's funny you mentioned how do you feel? I think that when you visualize, don't just see it because it's two dimensional, but actually, as you are explaining your vision, feel it in your body. Like, what does it feel like to get into that vintage truck and drive on a Sunday to take your daughter out for pancakes? What does it feel like to write a book or to hang the poster of that book in your house? Like, what does it feel like when you walk into something, or you're teaching live? All of these things, because when you start to feel it, I think it now becomes three-dimensional. And I personally believe that you're going to attract it more using your entire body, mind, body, soul, not just your vision or what you see.
You're 100% right. And it also has a dedicated science and term associated with it. So, what you just described is the science of priming, which comes from the world of sports psychology. And that body of research is also why vision boards work, because you're inhabiting your future vision in such a way that your brain begins to naturally orient towards that which you want the most. That's why athletes will sometimes tattoo the goal or the time that they want on their body. That's why there's so much work with visualization put into sports psychology, because your muscle memory will do the damn thing when your brain isn't so sure.
Right. And here's the thing I know about the universe. Most of the time, what you visualize, what you want, what you feel, assuming you put a lot of hard work behind it, it will come true. But for me, it's always not been exactly how I imagined in my head. But I had the revelation that, oh, it actually is here, but it's been delivered in a different
In a
way.
different package. Yeah.
Yes.
And so we talked about fear, we talked about being stuck, we talked about the visualization. Now let's get down to brass tacks. When you're actually setting out there and taking action to move the dial of your life, what do you think the most important thing is beyond visualization?
Well, I mean, logistically, the execution piece, actually doing something, meaning taking action. I think that's where most people drop the ball. I think we have a lot of ideas. I think we have a lot of visions and a lot of desires, but we don't execute.
Do you know what I think the number one thing is?
Hmm.
It's who you surround yourself with.
Oh, okay. Your tribe.
Yeah, because of social contagion theory. So, social contagion is incredibly strong. You will adopt the mood, beliefs, behaviors, work ethic, drive, sensibility, and habits of the people that you spend the most time with. Period. End of story. So,
Yeah, I mean, I could see that with directly in fitness. If I go work out by myself, that workout is not going to be nearly as good as if I did it in a class or with, five other people who are actually better than me.
yeah, and it goes for every aspect of your behavior. And your behavior is ultimately what provides the action steps towards goal execution. So I'm talking about eating, drinking, smoking, entrepreneurial spirit, work ethic, how you talk about other people, gossip, positivity, gratitude, all of that stuff will be gravely impacted by the people that you surround yourself with. So there is this idea that if you look at the 5 people that you spend the most time with, you will become the sum of those 5 people.
Sure, sure. I mean, there's in addiction, this is exactly it. You can't really recover alone.
You can't recover alone, no.
Yeah.
And that's why when folks go back to the cities where they participated in certain behaviors with, they're more apt to fall back into poor habits.
So for anyone who's listening to this, who is feeling stuck, who is life coaching on that path, or maybe thinking about it, and they're doing it alone, would your first piece of advice be to surround yourself with people who are like-minded?
Yeah, and not necessarily surround, because that's a tall order, but check it out. If you really want to be a writer, join a writers group. If you want to start mountain climbing, go to a meetup for different, trailheads, figure it out. There are lots of other people out there doing the very things that you want to do, and role modeling combined with actual social engagement will put you on the path faster than your own inaction ever could.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I like that you said it doesn't have to be surround. If every person in your life is doing what you're doing, it might be a little too much. But having that group of 5 or 6, or whatever your tribe is, in this field, to help you push you in this part of your life. Now, of course, you're going to have other friends and family members and other people who have nothing to do with this. But if this is something you want to pursue, I highly recommend that you don't do it alone, because it's just, you're not going to get as much value and execution.
And you're also seen, and you're also understood. Not everybody wants to go out and climb mountains, but if you do, and you find people who also do, it's like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Of course, this is what we want to do with our time. Same thing for me with female entrepreneurs. It's so rare to run into other startup female under 40 CEOs. It's a rare population, but I belong to a couple of Facebook groups that I can draw inspiration from daily, and I feel a lot less alone in the world.
Right. Yeah, it's I think it's actually the feeling of being seen, heard, understood, and supported. I think that's the fuel that actually makes you then execute.
Yes, because somebody else believes in your why.
Right. Right. And if someone just tells you to do something, that's going to be very difficult, right? It's not, coaching isn't just about barking orders. We all know that we need to do things. It's about creating or designing a life where the doing is much easier because of things like this, of having support or accountability or a group of people that's going to help you through the journey.
Yeah, and when you combine visualization with other people, that's when the magic happens.
Oh, That's the peanut butter and chocolate.
That is. And vision boards really do work. As crazy and cliche as it sounds, if there's something that you really want to accomplish, I have been amazed in the course of my life how many things I've slapped on a vision board that I'm like, holy shit, I really did that a couple years later.
Yes, and I want to mention one thing about vision boards. I think a lot of people, they hear about them, they participate, but then what they do is they add a ticking clock. And if that vision doesn't happen over the weekend, they just stop visualizing,
Rip the board down, stomp on
yeah.
it.
And the thing is that it does work, I do believe as well. I'm very visual, but you also have to be patient. It's going to happen when it's going to happen, and when you're ready for it to happen.
It years.
Years,
It could
yes,
be
not
years,
days.
not days.
Yes. So, guys, if you feel stuck, just a couple quick go-tos. Start visualizing where you see yourself. It doesn't have to be 5 years. Maybe it's 3 years. What are you doing? How are you doing? The more specific, the better. But it doesn't have to be, like when I was telling you I want to Korean barbecue in my backyard. That's very specific. It doesn't have to be that specific. But knowing what direction and kind of having a feeling of where you want to be, who you are, who's around you. And then, like Noelle said, building a tribe or participating in a community. One like ours, where you will get support, encouragement, and the push, so you could start swimming toward that vision.
Yes, find your people, do the things.
Yes.
And make a vision board. Take care.
Absolutely. Yes, continue that. And it's not just a one-time thing, and your vision board can change. What's important is that you actually start doing it. Okay, be well.
Awesome. Take care.
Bye.